Jai Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Are you all able to see the screen already?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 6, Chapter 4, text 27 to 28. We have started reading the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada to this text. We are somewhere in the middle. And we've been reading, these are the Haṁsa-guhya prayers that Dakṣa is offering to the Supreme Lord, because he wants a benediction to be able to do a better job at populating the universe. So he's been saying these beautiful prayers, and he sings also in this verse that one who is engaged in devotional service, pure devotional service, is liberated. One is liberated. One attains such liberation when he engages in the transcendental service of the Lord. So, and he's asking, when will the Lord be pleased with me in this verse? So we are going to continue reading the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada has been quoting different verses, and this is a verse from Vishnu Purana. Ladini Sandini Samver Tai Eka Sarva Samstita Lada Tapa Kari Mishra Vaina Guna Varjate. In the material world, the spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is manifested as Tapakari, which means causing miseries. So here Vishnu Purana is saying that the spiritual energy of the Lord in the material world is manifested as Tapakari, which is causing miseries, because the original energy is the spiritual energy, is her reflection, which is the material energy. Her expansion is the material energy. See, from Krishna's point of view, it is one energy. When we want to forget Krishna, it becomes material for us, helps us forget Krishna. When we want to remember Krishna, she helps us remember him, becomes spiritual energy. We want to exploit the material world, material energy. We want to engage in devotional service, spiritual energy. Yeah. So everyone hankers for happiness, but all the happiness originally comes from the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the material world, because of material activities, the pleasure potency of the Lord becomes a source of miseries. Lada Tapakari. So we want to be happy. And the pleasure potency of the Lord is actually the Hladini Shakti. Hladini Shakti personification is Srimati Radharani. But here we want to be in the material world. We are seeking pleasure in the material activities. So this same pleasure potency expands as material energy and is giving us miseries. That's the way of this material world. Krishna says this material world is dukkhalayam, ashasvatam. It's a temporary place full of miseries. Because the real pleasure potency, she's there in the spiritual form, in the spiritual world, on the spiritual platform. The material platform is just a reflection. You know, like we want to eat an apple. For example, we want to eat an apple. So we are seeing the reflection of the apple. We can't get any enjoyment by trying to eat the reflection of the apple, no matter how much we try. It's only when we eat the real apple we will feel the pleasure. So when we are in the spiritual atmosphere, engaged in spiritual activities, then we will feel pleasure. On the material world, it is just a semblance. It's just a reflection. False happiness in the material world is the source of distress. But when one's endeavors for happiness are directed toward the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this tapakari element of misery is vanquished. An example given in this connection is that extracting fire from wood is certainly difficult. But when the fire comes out, it burns the wood to ashes. In other words, experiencing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely difficult for those devoid of devotional service. But everything becomes easier for a devotee, and thus he can very easily meet the Supreme Lord. So for a devotee, what is difficult becomes easy because he is connected with the Supreme Lord. So we can see here that it's clearly explained that we are seeking pleasure. Now this pleasure potency is on the spiritual platform. In the material world, this pleasure potency becomes a source of miseries and we suffer. Comments, questions on this? Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. So the
Hare Krishna.
Tapakari energy is inferior energy
That's
in
right.
the world. Right?
Yeah, giving us misery. Yes, the material energy, the inferior energy, Maya Shakti.
Actually, it is the superior energy of the of Krishna, but when it comes down to the material world, so it becomes the inferior energy.
Yes.
Am I right? Okay.
Yes. Yes. So we can also look at it this way, that when the devotee, he's also in the material world, but when he's taking shelter of the spiritual energy, the same material energy becomes spiritual for him.
Okay. Right.
Make sense?
Yes, yes.
That's why they say the devotee is always in the spiritual world, even though he's in the material world.
And yesterday we spoke about the 2 stages, right, of God realization. So, Sunenium and Durgenium. So, is it something connected to this also?
Durgeyam we heard was the difficult.
It's very difficult to understand.
Yeah, and the easier part to understand was the Paramatma and Brahman.
Okay.
It's easier to understand the Brahman and Paramatma realization, but very difficult to understand that God is a person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
And that devotees can understand.
And devotees can understand, yeah. And this very difficult subject matter is becoming easy for us by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, actually. It's Lord Chaitanya's mercy. He's giving everyone opportunity. Hear the Bhagavatam, chant the holy name. Yeah. So it's this movement, Krishna consciousness movement is started by Lord Chaitanya. So, okay, then we go on. So we did this. In other words, but everything becomes easier for a devotee, and thus he can very easily meet the Supreme Lord because he's taking shelter of the devotional service. So for someone who is engaged in devotional service, he can meet the Supreme Lord. One who doesn't want to meet the Supreme Lord, the same energy helps him forget the Lord. Here the prayers say that the form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of material form, is therefore inconceivable. So the form of the Lord, so the Lord has a form, is not a material form. So people are not able to understand that how come form can exist. What is this form that exists but is not material? Because in our experience, all forms are material. So because we have not experienced any spiritual form, we think, oh, any form is going to be material. But a higher understanding is that the real form is the spiritual form. The material forms are just reflections here in the material world. Forms exist in the spiritual world. This material world is called a reflection. So the original transcendental spiritual forms exist, and God has a spiritual form. So a devotee prays, however, my dear Lord, be pleased with me so that I may very easily see your transcendental form and potency. So the devotee, he has a desire to see the Lord's form, which is transcendental. And Krishna says, if you understand that my form is transcendental, my leelas, pastimes are transcendental, my appearance is transcendental, my activities are transcendental, you don't need to take birth in this material world again. So non-devotees try to understand the Supreme Brahman by discussions of neti, nisheda, nirvana, sukhanubhuti. A devotee, however, simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, avoids such laborious speculations and realizes the existence of the Lord very easily. So someone may say that, okay, this is not real, try to do a lot of research work. But a devotee, what he does is he takes up this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, chanting of the holy names. And the more he chants, the more the spiritual knowledge is revealed to him. Krishna says, Ye yathamam prapadyante tams tatheva bhajami aham. As one surrenders to me, I reward them accordingly. So the more one chants, the more one can realize God, his transcendental nature. So, okay, that brings us to the end of this purport. Then going on to the next one, 29. Yatyan niruktam vachasa nirupitam
Yadhyam niruktam vachasha nirupitam
yakshabheva dhiya kshabheva manaso tayasya
dhyakshabhiva manasotayasya
mabhut swarupam ganarupam hi tattat
ma bhut swarupam gunarupam hi tattat
Save gunapaya visarga lakshana.
save gunapaya visarga lakshana.
Anything expressed by material vibrations, anything ascertained by material intelligence, and anything experienced by the material senses or concocted within the material mind is but an effect of the modes of material nature, and therefore has nothing to do with the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is beyond the creation of this material world, for he is the source of the material qualities and creation. As the cause of all causes, he exists before the creation and after the creation. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So one who manufactures names, forms, qualities, or paraphernalia pertaining to the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot understand him, since he is beyond creation. You know, we cannot say that, oh, God must be like this, God must have this, it's my belief, it's my faith. No, God is who he is. Like, for example, you know, if I try to say, if someone says for me, for example, oh, she must be like that, she must be that, but I am who I am, right? Our belief, our faith has nothing, it can't change God. God is who he is. He has a form. He has names, unlimited forms. He has qualities, unlimited qualities, paraphernalia, because then one thinks, oh, he has unlimited forms, so means he's formless. No, but he has an original form also, from who so many other forms are coming. The Shyam Sundar form, that's the original form of God. Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Govinda, Brajnandan Krishna, Krishna of Vrindavan, that's the original form of God. So the Supreme Lord is the creator of everything, and this means that he existed when there was no creation, right? The creator exists before the creation, isn't it? If we see a potter and a pot, now the pot is there because the potter created the pot. So the potter existed before the pot. So similarly, this material creation is created by God. So he existed before the creation. Sripad Sankaracharya says the same thing. He says, Narayana Paro Vyakta, that Narayan existed before the creation. So in other words, his name, form, and qualities are not materially created entities. They are transcendental always. So God, his form, his name, his qualities are all spiritual. They are not a product of matter. God existed before matter was created. Therefore, by our material concoctions, vibrations, and thoughts, we cannot ascertain the Supreme Lord. So one may imagine different things, but it does not change the truth. Our imagination cannot change the truth. Our speculation cannot change the truth. And of course, by our imagination, by our speculation, the only thing we can do is we are deluding ourselves by going away from the truth. Instead, we just need to understand the truth with humility by hearing from the authorities who know the truth. This is explained in the verse Atha Shri Krishna Namadi and Bhavet Grahyam Indriye, that we can understand the Supreme Lord when we engage our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. It's only then we will be able to understand the Supreme Lord. When we engage our senses with our ears, we hear his name, hear his glories from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. We chant his holy name by our tongue. We accept Krishna Prasad. With our material senses, we won't be able to understand God. Prachetasa Dakṣa herein offers prayers unto the transcendence, not to anyone within the material creation. Only fools and rascals think God a material creation. So God is not material. God's form is not material. God's form is transcendental, spiritual. He has a very, very beautiful transcendental form. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Avajananti mam muda manushim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. So because when Krishna comes to this material world, people don't recognize that he's God, and they think he is an ordinary human being. They think his form is material. And Krishna is saying that, no, they're not able to understand. I have a transcendental nature. My qualities are transcendental. My form is transcendental. They're not able to recognize I'm God. So it's like how the prisoners, when the king is entering the prison, just to see how the prisoners are doing, then the prisoners, instead of taking advantage that the king is there, let me ask the king to help me get out of here. The prisoner starts saying, oh, the king has become a prisoner, king has become a prisoner. So the prisoner is foolish. The king has not become a prisoner. He came by himself. He was not caught by the police and forced to come to the prison. And he can leave whenever he wants. He does not wear the police uniform. The rules of the prison do not bind him. He doesn't have to follow the rules of the prison. He does not have to wear the prison uniform. He doesn't have to eat the prison food. He can just come and go as he pleases. So this is what Krishna is saying. Try to understand, when I come to the material world, I'm coming in my original form. Therefore, one must receive knowledge from a person to whom the Lord has revealed himself. There is no value in creating an imaginary name or form for the Lord. So receiving the knowledge in the disciplic succession, in the parampara, because then Krishna is the original giver of this knowledge. He gave the knowledge to Lord Brahma. or Brahma seeing Krishna, Brahma gave to Narad Muni to Vyasadev, Vyasadev Madhvacharya, coming down to Lord Chaitanya, coming down to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to Srila Prabhupada. We are hearing the knowledge in the disciplic succession. Shripad Shankaracharya was an impersonalist, but nevertheless he said, Narayana Parovyakta, Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not a person of the material world. So even Shripad Shankaracharya, even though he is an impersonalist, he taught the impersonalist philosophy, he himself is saying that God does not have a material form. He's not a person of the material world. He's saying he's a person and he's not of the material world, means he is transcendental. We cannot assign Narayan a material designation, as the foolish attempt to do when they speak of Daridra Narayan, poor Narayan. Narayan is always transcendental, beyond this material creation. How can he become Daridra Narayan? Poverty is found within this material world, but in the spiritual world, there is no such thing as poverty. Therefore, the idea of Daridra Narayan is merely a concoction. So Prabhupada is pointing out, because someone may say, oh, there is a poor man, is a Narayan. But no, God is God. He's transcendental. He's the richest person. God is in everyone's heart. He's in the heart of the poor man. He's also in the heart of the rich man. So Daridra Narayan is concoction. Lord Narayan, he is the husband of Goddess Lakshmi, goddess of fortune. How can he be poor? Dakṣa very carefully points out the material designations cannot be names of the worshipable Lord. Yadya Niruktam Vachasa Nirupitam. Nirukta refers to the Vedic dictionary. So Nirukta, what is Nirukta? It's a Vedic dictionary. One cannot properly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead merely by picking up expressions from a dictionary. In praying to the Lord, Dakṣa does not wish material names and forms to be the objects of his worship. Rather, he wants to worship the Lord, who existed before the creation of material dictionaries and names. So Prabhupada is pointing out here Dakṣa's mood, that it's not that one can know God just simply by reading a dictionary. Merely scholarship cannot give us the understanding of God. Krishna says, I can be known only by devotion, that only bhaktya mam abhijanati. He says that it's by devotional service I can be known. And this is how Dakṣa wants to know him. That's how he wants to address him. Not in any material way, but the true nature of the Supreme Lord. So he wants to worship the Lord who existed before the creation, understanding God in truth and worshipping him. As confirmed in the Vedas, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. The name, form, attributes, and paraphernalia of the Lord cannot be ascertained through a material dictionary. However, if one reaches the transcendental platform of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes well acquainted with everything material and spiritual. So when we hear from the bona fide spiritual master, when we are hearing from the true representative, when we are hearing in disciplic succession, then we can understand God. Then everything else becomes acquainted, material and spiritual. We can get a proper understanding. What is material? What is spiritual? This is confirmed in another Vedic mantra, Tam eva viditvati mrityumeti. If one somehow or other, by the grace of the Lord, understand the transcendental position of the Lord, one becomes eternal. So to understand the transcendental position, to realize that God is transcendental, it's not material, then one does not need to take birth again in the material world. This is further confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatpataha tyakva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorajam. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Simply by understanding the Supreme Lord, one goes beyond birth, death, old age, and disease. So this is what Krishna is saying. Just try to understand that my appearance is transcendental. My activities are transcendental. Krishna is saying, and such a person who understands transcendental nature of Krishna, then he can leave this world of birth and death. He goes to the spiritual world. He does not need to be anymore in the material world. So simply by understanding the Supreme Lord, one goes beyond birth, death, old age, and disease. So we can see here that if we want to understand God, we have to leave aside our ideas, our beliefs, and we have to receive the knowledge from the proper authority. Otherwise, it becomes mental speculation. Same, no? As if I want to know something about you, I have to put aside my, oh, she must be like this, or she must like this, or she must not like this. I simply have to hear from you or somebody that you have spoken to. Yeah. Srila Sukadev Goswami therefore advised Maharaj Parikshit in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 5. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Chata Bhayam. O descendant of King Bharat, one who desires to be free from all miseries, must hear, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, the controller, and the savior from all miseries. So here, 2.15, Sukadev Goswami is telling Maharaj Parikshit, anyone who wants to be happy, who really desires that not to be suffering anymore. So what is the anecdote? Must hear about God, must glorify Him, and also remember Him. He is the Paramatma. He is the controller. He is the one who can protect us from all miseries. That is Lord Shri Krishna. He is the personality of Godhead. So Sukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit that anyone who wants to be happy, who does not want to suffer, who does not want to feel any misery, should hear about Krishna and chant his holy names, glorify him, and remember him. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. These three things. He's saying if one does, one can be happy. Comments, questions? Yasmin yato yena chayasya yasmai
Yasmin yatu yena cha yasya yasmai
yadyo yatha kurute karyate cha
yadyo yatha kurute karyate cha
paravaresham paramam prakrasidham
paravaresam paramam prasidam
tad brahma tadde yadekam.
tad brahma tut ananyad ekam.
The Supreme Brahman Krishna is the ultimate resting place and source of everything. Everything is done by him. Everything belongs to him. And everything is offered to him. He's the ultimate objector. And whether acting or causing others to act, he's the ultimate doer. There are many causes, high and low. But since He is the cause of all causes. He is well known as the Supreme Brahman who existed before all activities. He is one without a second and has no other cause. I, therefore, offer my respects unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original cause as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Krishna is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhava, mata sarvam pravartate. Everything is coming from me. I am the cause of everything. Everything is strung on me as pearls are strung on a thread. Or Sarva Karana Karanam. Lord Brahma says in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. We want to know why, who is, if we do research work, the cause, our father's father, grandfather, ancestors going up, we will come to Lord Brahma. And then Lord Brahma says, Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Vachan. That Krishna, Govinda, he is my seed-giving father. So even this material world, which is conducted under the modes of material nature, is caused by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who therefore also has an intimate relationship with the material world. If the material world were not a part of his body, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Cause, would be incomplete. So the Lord is spiritual, his form is spiritual, but this material world also belongs to him. This is how complete he is. So everything belongs to him. There's nothing or no one that does not belong to God. That's why he's called the complete whole in the Sri Ishopanishad. So, therefore, we hear Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. If one knows that Vasudeva is the original cause of all causes, he becomes a perfect Mahatma. So, understanding that Krishna is the cause of all causes. The Brahma Samhita 5.1 declares, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. So we may think we are the supreme controller. We may think we are the cause of all causes. We may think we are the origin, that we are the center of the universe. But here, Lord Brahma is clearly telling us, who is this supreme controller? It is Govinda, it is Krishna. And Brahmaji is saying that Krishna's body is spiritual. It is eternal. It is full of bliss. And that he is the origin of everything, of everyone. So someone may say, then who is the origin? Who created Krishna? No one created Krishna. He is the cause of all causes. He has no origin. He is God. There's no one equal to or greater than God. The Supreme Brahman, Tat Brahma, is the cause of all causes, but he has no cause. Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Govinda Krishna is the original cause of all causes, but he has no cause for his appearance as Govinda. Govinda expands in multifarious forms, but nevertheless they are one. So Krishna, he has many, many forms, but it doesn't mean that there are many gods. No, God is one. God is one. He just has many expansions, many incarnations. And Bhagavatam says, Etecha Haṁsa Kalapamsa, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. There are so many incarnations, so many expansions, but the original form of God is Krishna. As confirmed by Madhvacharya, Ananya Sadrisha Bhavat Eko Rupadi Abhedata. Krishna has no cause nor any equal, and he is one because his various forms as Swamsha and Vibhinamsha are non-different from himself. So Swamsha, his personal expansions, Vibhinamsha, his separated expansions. Everyone, everything is coming from Krishna. No one is equal to Krishna. Everything, everyone. He's the cause of all causes. He's the source of everything, source of everyone. His personal expansions, we are his separated expansions. So we are all coming from Krishna, but no one is equal to or greater than Krishna. So how is Krishna's body described by Brahmaji?
Spiritual, supreme controller, transcendental.
Yeah, his
Govinda.
body is eternal, blissful, and spiritual. That's his body. Yes. He has a spiritual body. It's eternal and it's completely blissful. Sat Chit Ananda. Yeah. And Krishna's position, Brahmaji is saying, he's the supreme controller. Krishna, who is known as Govinda. So Lord Brahma is being very specific. He's calling Krishna, who is known as Govinda. So Krishna in Vrindavan. Not Vasudev Krishna also. He's being so specific. Krishna, who is known as Govinda. He is the supreme controller. So he is the origin of all. He has no other origin. Cause of all causes. Questions, comments?
No, all good.
So what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? That one who knows that Vasudev is the original cause of all causes, what does he become? One who actually can understand that Krishna is the cause of all causes. What does he become?
Perfect Mahatma.
Yeah, he becomes a perfect Mahatma. We say Mahatma means a great soul, one who can understand that Vasudeva is the original cause of all causes. He becomes a great soul. Yeah. So does this material world have a relationship with Krishna?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. How so?
He's the original. He's the
origin of.
He's the origin. All belongs to
Yes.
him.
Yes.
Even though
We
he's
are part and
the
parcel.
yes.
I'm sorry.
We are part
What
and
is
parcel.
Sneha's part and parcel? Yes, we the jivas are part and parcel, yes. But what about the material energy?
It
That
comes
was
from
what
him.
comes from him. Yeah.
Yeah, comes
He
from
is
him.
prime
He
cause.
says,
He is origin. He is origin
Yeah.
for all the causes. He has no
Yes.
other. Yeah. But I have one question here. Like Krishna is all causes for, like, he is the origin and he is all causes, but he has no cause to his appearance. What it mean? What it mean? Like, because whenever he came to earth to save our earth for some reason, so why it is written like that? Like, he has no cause for his appearance.
Because it's not that he exists only when he comes to the earth. He existed even before that. Before he created the earth, before he created the material world, he existed. You see, like how Kunti Devi says in her prayers that it's not that now that you're born to Devki and Vasudev doesn't mean you're not God. You know, yes, he comes as son of Devki and Vasudev, but it doesn't mean he's not God. It doesn't mean he's did not exist before the creation. Doesn't mean that he's the cause of all causes. He existed before the creation of the material world. And time to time, he comes to the material world he says the reasons why he comes to annihilate the miscreants, to protect the devotees, you know. So that's why I said original cause, no cause for him to exist, because he just exists. He's God. Nobody created him. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. But it is little confusing. Like Krishna is the original cause of all causes, but he has no cause for his appearance as Govinda
Yes.
or Govinda. Like,
Yes.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
So you have to see, okay, so the point to understand that, because we think that, oh, Krishna came 5,000 years ago, but it's not that he didn't exist before that 5,000 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We try to
Yeah.
understand that he
Yes.
exists, and then everything is coming from him. And then sometimes he comes to the material world at different times, different places, sometimes as Vamandev, sometimes as Lord Nishinga, sometimes as Vasudev, Krishna, you know. Sometimes he
Yes.
himself comes. Yeah.
Yeah. Understood. Like, if you think he is, if you think he don't, but he is in
Yes.
the, yeah, there is, like, whatever your belief, it's your belief, but there is no doubt about his existence.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. He existed before the material creation.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Got it. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we'll end here today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for listening and